Hello and welcome to the Fairy Little Podcast. My name is Marcia, also known as Fairy Little on all of the social media. Thank you so much for joining me. I am going to be talking today strictly about knitting, but this podcast isn't limited to that. I want to make sure that it's left open so that I can add in whatever interests me at the moment. Today it is all about knitting, so let's get to it. I'm going to talk about first what I'm wearing because I mentioned it last week and I haven't worn it in a little while. It is a colorwork top that I knit, I do believe about 4 years ago. It is called the Fara Raglan by Mary Jane Mucklestone. It's colorwork, knit mostly out of Cascade Heritage Silk, but there's also some Knit Picks sock yarn in here as well. It is a fingering weight top. It also has, the sleeves weren't quite as long as I wanted, so I actually created a couple motifs on my own and added some yarn colors to it as well, just to get the length in the sleeves that I wanted. I also added that to the length in the body because I am very long-waisted. This is the bottom of my rib cage and this is like the top of my hips here. So this length in here is quite long, and I usually have to add length to any tops that I make unless they're supposed to be shorter kind of crop tops. I also added length in the bottom ribbing as well. It calls for a longer ribbing, but I added a few extra rows in there. It came out of this book. It's called Fair Isle Style, 20 Fresh Designs for a Classic Technique. It has some really nice designs in it. This is what it looks like in the book. It is charted, but I did add a couple extra charts into it. And I actually wrote them right. I added one extra chart actually. I thought I'd added two, but I didn't. I added one extra chart. And that's the little chart I added. So I have an additional motif in here. I believe it is, I didn't actually add it to the sleeves. I just added an additional motif to the bottom of the body. I don't know why I thought I'd added to the sleeves. Maybe I considered it, but decided against it. I remember thinking specifically along the line of the sleeves, but it wasn't the sleeves. It was just the body, and it was this motif at the very bottom that I added, so it actually increased it in that section by this much, which, as you can see, was needed to get it to the top of my hips. I really enjoyed knitting this top. It is something I would definitely knit again. I only had a couple issues, and that's where the colorwork comes into the raglan decreases. There's also a stretch stitch there, so it looks like it's got more black than it does. It's showing up a little bit differently on here. But I just found it was a little bit, it looks fine, it's fine. It just felt a little bit finicky to me. And it's just a regular raglan decrease, but I love the collar line. The only thing I would like a little bit more is if it didn't actually touch my neck and I didn't have to pull on it to get it to not touch my neck so much. I don't really enjoy tops that come all the way up to my throat. I just feel strangled by it, so I'm not a big fan of things coming that high. But when I pull on it, it sits where it should. I think it would be good to have some short rows in the back, and that would bring the front down. But again, this is all color work, so it would change the look of it probably a little bit too much, unless the decreases or the short rows were put in the actual collar, because the consistent amount of space between the rows would need to be maintained for the look. It's beautiful. I enjoyed knitting it. I would definitely knit another one. It's not on my list of things to do right now, but I would definitely recommend it if you're looking for a colorwork top that is just really fun. And it's kind of one of those things like self-striping socks where you want to get to the next color and see how that's working up and go to the next color. One of my favorite features is that in between each color change or motif is a black line. I do not know why I love that so much. My whole life, I've always been drawn to having color divided by a definite line, and it just makes my heart so happy to have that. I bought the pattern in the book, so I don't know where you would purchase this book. It's an interweave book, so I don't remember if I got it online or if it was a gift or if I purchased it through the yarn store in one of the close communities that's closed down now. There are a lot of very beautiful colorwork projects in here. There's even a skirt. It doesn't show the whole skirt. I don't know why. There's a picture that shows the whole skirt. I think that other picture was a focus on the waistband, but this is the full colorwork skirt, which is really fun. I like it. And there's glove patterns in here as well, and a little bit of stories and some mittens. Everybody likes mittens. There's also, this is really unique. It's the Mariel Shrug. That's really cute. I think that would be fun knit. It's knit in sections and then seamed together, which is very unique. And there's the back of it. It's very pretty. So if you're interested, I would recommend this book and this design. I'm not sponsored in any way. It's just my personal opinion. So if you are looking for fingering weight colorwork, definitely recommend this. The other thing I'm wearing, which I never show you guys, is my socks. I am wearing a pair of hand knit socks. They are my absolute favorites, but I did not knit them. I actually purchased them. I'll show you. These have cables in them and they're striped. They're so fun. I don't actually know if they're hand knit. I think they are. I purchased those socks at the Cliffs of Moher in Ireland. There's little shops that you can get things from, and I purchased them there, and they are my favorite socks. I love how long they are and how slouchy they are, and they're just my cozy socks, but they still fit in shoes and boots, which of course is so important living in the north. So that is what I'm wearing. I also got this ring that I wear every day, all day, every day when I was in Ireland as well. It has Celtic knots around it. I wear it all the time. It's a stainless steel ring that I got when I was at the Blarney Stone and kissed the Blarney Stone. I'm going to show you some of I have a couple finished objects I want to show you. One was finished from a long time ago that I couldn't remember who the yarn was by because I knit it over a year ago. I wasn't podcasting. I wasn't keeping track of any of that. I wasn't even posting on Instagram at that time. And I didn't know if I was going to come back or what that looked like. So I didn't keep track of that. But today I found one of the tags from one of the colors. So I contacted the dyer and I said, hey, this one color is your yarn. Are these other two your yarn? Also, because I don't know. And she got back to me and she said, yep, it's all my yarn, and it looks like it's this and this and this. And so I'm going to show that to you now. It is a design that I have recently released. It is called Synergistic. I've shown this to you in a different yarn previously. All the yarns are Gingersnap yarn. The green is Sour Apple, the purple is OOAK, and the black is Onyx. And this is the large size. So it comes in two sizes. One's a small size, one's a large size. And it is so comfortable. I was just doing the write-up for this one. It's available on Ravelry right now, and I am working on my website. It's almost ready to go. I just have some information that I need to add, and then it'll be going live. So it might be live by the time you see this. If it is, it'll be linked below. If it's not, then it'll probably be in the next video. It's such a cozy knit. It is knit in garter stitch. It's knit in pieces. I just did the write-up for, it's going to also be in my book that I'm publishing, and I did the write-up for it, and I'm really happy with how the write-up came up. My book is going to be called Thoughtful Knits, and it's all the projects I worked on and designed after I moved out, and the process of what each knit has meant along that journey. So it's knit from one side to the other, and then you pick up stitches. It's 3 separate sections that all come together in a really synergistic way. And they work together to create something beautiful, but you have to work through each piece first before you can get to the beautiful finish. And I really enjoyed this. This was a knit that didn't take a lot of thought once you kind of get used to what you're doing. You can use this for TV knitting if you want. And I really like the picked up stitches. They look so pretty. I'm very, very happy with this. So if you're interested in the Synergistic shawl, it is on Ravelry right now. It will be on the website as well when the website is live. I've thought about hosting my patterns on different platforms because I know there's a lot of different platforms that people are listing their products on. And I just, without having a team working with me, it just isn't accessible to me to do that right now because I'm doing everything. And so it will be just my website and Ravelry for the foreseeable future, I think. And I think that's fine. You'll have the links below and you'll be able to go to each preferred place and go ahead and purchase patterns at whichever one you want. With my website, it's more direct from me, but it won't be connected to Ravelry, if that makes sense. The next thing that I completed, the thing I completed over the last week, I talked to you about last week, and that's the Pasqua Shawl, which I finished and blocked, and here it is. I'll pull it off and I'll show it to you in just a second. The yarn that I used in it is Black Cat Custom yarn in Void Talon, Black Raspberry, and Widowmaker. So I'll just grab it. This is a pie shawl. So it's knit in the round. And it's a nice big pie. And you can wear it as a shawl or as a wrap. You can put it over your legs if you want. It has It has written instructions as well as charts. And I just re-knit it to work out any clarifying that need to be made or anything. And so that's all complete now. And this one, again, is available on Ravelry, but I love it so much. And I haven't decided if I'm going to keep it for myself or give it as a gift, because I know somebody who would love this. And I think that it might be a really good Christmas gift next year. And if you've been following me, I mentioned about a month ago that I would like to start making a box of gift knits, and I think that this is going to go in it. I love it so much, but I want to keep in mind anybody that I know who will love it just as much as I do, and I can give it as a really nice gift. The yarn was fantastic to work with. The yarn is holding the lace so beautifully, and it blocked out so nicely, and I love it. So this light color is the black raspberry. This color here is the Void Talon, and this one here is the Widowmaker, I believe. I might have those two mixed up, but if you take a look online, you'll be able to tell which one's which. There's 3 different lace patterns in this shawl. Each section is a different lace pattern, but it's a repeating lace pattern, and I love it so much. After I finished knitting that, I picked up another project that has been on the needles for a little while. I picked it up and started knitting this with some test knitters while this project was being test knit, to get through a couple areas and confirm with one of my test knitters what was happening with it. But I put it aside, and what I'm trying to do right now is get everything off the needles that I have on the needles right now, so that I can start fresh and just start fresh. I've got so many things on the needles started, some new designs that I've been working on, and I just kind of feel like it's all pressure I'm putting on myself. I just want to finish them, get them off the needles, and kind of split how I'm working on things in a more linear way, so that my fun knitting and my designing knitting is happening at the same time. So what I picked up is my inward wrap, and it is being housed in my Fat Squirrel Speaks bag. I got this bag when I went to Rhinebeck in 2017. I can't remember which year I went to Rhinebeck. I think it was 2017. It was so much fun, and I got to meet Amy Beth, and she is one of my favorite humans. And we didn't spend that much time together, but you know when you meet somebody and you really click? She was one of those people for me. I purchased this bag because it's huge and it can fit everything in it, but it also has these cool bikes on it, and I have a bike that is very similar to this. It's the bike that I use. It has a basket on the front. I've got panniers on the back to carry things. The only difference is that mine comes down instead of across like that. It's more of a like made for wearing skirts when you ride a bike, which I do also do that. And it has the beautiful autumn colors in it that I love. Autumn is my favorite season. It's also the season I was born in. And so this bag, that even the background color, all of it, to me, screamed me. So I picked it up while I was there. There was like a small market the day before Rhinebeck in this little community, in the same community, just at a different building, which it was really fun. I believe it was the ladies from Legacy Knits podcast and Legacy Fiber Arts who put it on. Put the event on. I believe it was those ladies that put it on. They were also there and sold yarn, and I purchased a bunch of yarn from them as well while I was there. It was really fun. I had a great time, and so when I look at that bag, it brings back those nice fond memories. I'm going on a lot of goat trails today, but so be it. This is the inward wrap that I'm working on. I'm almost done. The side I am on right now, I actually dropped a stitch, so that's handy. This is the one I'm working on. When I picked it up last week after I finished with the Pasqua, I was here and I've knit through each of these sections to here. This is my final section on this side of the arm. So how it's worked is you work a square in the middle, and then you knit one side and then you knit the other side. And it's so fun and beautiful. This one's not charted, but it's really relaxing, and it does have rest sections in the middle, here and here. These sections you don't have to do really any thinking when you're doing. So you get through one lace section, and then you get a rest section, then you get through another lace section, then you get a rest section, which I find makes it way easier for me to do. I'm way more motivated because then I want to get to the next lace section, so I work through the rest section really quickly. It's so nice to work on. I do have to be present, and I'm trying this new thing, which I've never done this before, and it does change the gauge a little bit, not much though. And what I'm doing is when I'm adding in a color, I'm actually knitting that color, both ends, into the project right away. So now all I have to do is trim these ends later. But it's only one end. It's only the new color end that I'm knitting into it. I'm not knitting the previous color. So it's cutting down the amount of colors that I have to weave in by half. So instead of having two ends on the side where I change colors, for each color, it's only one end for each color. I like how it's working up. It is going to be different on one side versus the other side, because the other side won't have that. It's making that so much easier, because I just detest weaving in ends so much. And I get it done right away because I know I dislike it so much. And I know that there's something like, I could look at it in a positive way. I just don't feel like it. So yeah, so I'll just continue doing that, and it's working for me. So if you've ever tried that before, then why didn't you tell me before? And if you've never tried it, maybe give it a go on a small project and see if you like it, because that's the only thing, is whether you like it or not. It doesn't really matter what anybody else thinks of that. And you would probably be the only person who would notice that that has happened. Especially on a project this big, people aren't going to be noticing that it's held double for 5 stitches at the beginning, or 10 stitches or whatever at the beginning. I don't think so anyway. I'm really enjoying this though. I love how bright the colors are. Oh, this stitch got dropped too. I love how bright these colors are and how they are working up. So it uses 5 different colors, and you can put them in whatever order you want and whatever colors you want. It's really, really up to you. Actually, I want to make another one of these in like muted colors, because all of the ones I have, well, I have a brown and green one, but that's not It's not really my colors. I chose those colors to show diversity, but I really want to knit this out of Gingersnap yarns. She has this antique lace collection that I purchased, and I really want to knit this in that because I know I will wear that so much. So this one is probably going to be a gift for one of my girls. My girls get the most use out of my knitting. They come and just take it all and use it, which I love. So I know which one of my girls will snag this beauty. The first yarn, color 1, is the yellow, and it's Gold Rush, and it's the color that's in between each section. So that's Gold Rush by Riverstone Yarns. The dark pink is the second color, which is by Nicole C. Mendez. And the dark pink is called Reuben. Next color is this green. Sorry, it's my needles are scraping across my desk. It's Apple Fiber Studio in Peridot. Next one is light pink, and this is Riverstone Yarn in Rose Quartz. The black one is by Riverstone Yarns, and it's called Diamonds at Night. They all are sparkle. I don't know if you can see. I chose them all as sparkle yarns. So it's got that, just that beautiful sparkle throughout the entire wrap. It's so relaxing, and I can watch shows while I'm doing it and just can't wait to get to the next color. So this one is going to be, this color is going to be finished. Hopefully I'll be able to finish it today. Then I have one more section of the yellow, I believe, and then I will be knitting the other side. And it's going to be, so this is from the center. This is pre-blocking. So center to the one side. And so this is going to be doubled that length. But then once blocked, I'll show you one of my other ones. Once blocked, it is very large. So this is it. I have all of the information for this one is on my Instagram. So if you're wondering about these yarns, they are on Instagram. It's a beautiful wrap. It's so nice to just wrap up in. But this will be great for the spring. And it's also great for going down to the beach when it gets windy and you just wrap it around you and just so comfy and beautiful. This is actually one of my favorite designs that I've designed. And that one is also on Ravelry. I'll finish that hopefully this week, and you'll be able to see my progress on it. I have a couple pairs of socks that I'm going to be working on as well. Yeah, I'm drinking water today out of my Elements Pottery mug. Who's a friend of mine, Shannon, but she's also a local potter, so she sells her pottery in a couple different locations. I think that's it for the knitting content today. Thanks so much for sticking around for that, if that's all you're here for. Then just take a look in the box below for ways to support the podcast. If you're interested, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next week. For those of you who are interested in the jibber jabber, let's get jibber jabbering. One of the first things I want to talk about is I'm working on a merchandise store where you can buy things that are fairy little related and yarn related. I ordered a bunch of samples. They were supposed to be here a week ago, but how the shipping is working right now, I believe they're coming from the States. So they're shipping stuff with things coming from out of country, that things are being put on hold, which is fine. It is what it is at the moment. It will be better once all of, in a year when all the COVID stuff is all dealt with and everybody's got their vaccines. In the meantime, one of my merchandise items came today, and I'm super excited. I wanted to show you today. I'm working on more merchandise. Some of the merchandise that I have up right now has a box behind it, but there's also merchandise that doesn't have like the white box behind the words. There's a couple different sections you can look in. My store is listed below if you're interested, but make sure you take a look and you're getting exactly what it is that you want. But this arrived today. It's my first mug, yay! And it's very little with the little fairy standing on the Y. It's so cute, and it's in purple. There's going to be a bunch of different colors you can choose from for the writing, and some of them are going to have yarn balls on them, and I'm very excited about this. I'm really happy about this little mug. It's so cute, and it symbolizes that there's so much yet to come to fill my cup. And I'm really excited about it. I have some leggings coming. I have a sweatshirt coming. I have a hoodie coming. I got a pair of sweatpants for my sister, which are still coming. I also have like a face mask that's also coming. I ordered a bunch of different products to try out and make sure that I like them. You'll probably be seeing more of that coming into the podcast as I show you things that are coming in and are available. The other thing I want to talk about is this past week was Scylla's birthday, and she's so funny. She wanted to go to a restaurant for her birthday, and we have been so isolated, so isolated. We don't do anything. We're home all the time, and we've gone on like some hikes and things like of that nature, but we don't go to a sit down restaurant and sit down. And my sister really wanted to do that. So she picked the restaurant. We made a reservation and went. Valentine's we did go to a sit down restaurant as well. And then for Scylla's birthday, we did as well. So just to clarify, I know that we did do that recently, but we haven't. The restaurant we went to is called the Pasta Factory. We had to have a reservation. Their seating is so far apart from everybody, and all of the staff wear masks, and we also wore masks until it was time to eat. It was such a fun time. The girls had a really great time. We had all of our pasta and dessert. We weren't there for very long, but it was long enough that it just felt really good to have a little piece of normal for a little while. And then we came home and we watched movies and just relaxed and chilled out. I ordered a gift for Scylla that still has not arrived, so I'm waiting for that so I can give that to her when it comes in. There's a lot of things with the like postal service that have slowed right down right now, and that's just, it is what it is. But I wish it had come so I could have given it to her. It was supposed to be here on her birthday, and this is almost a week later and it's still not here. So maybe next week I'll get to talk about it. We just got out of a cold snap. It was minus 18 last week, and this week it's plus 8-9. So, and that's Celsius. So it is like a 30-degree difference between last week and this week. It's intense, and I'm excited because normally at this time my flowers would start poking through and be growing. And now, right now, everything's still, well, nothing's covered in snow because it's been warm for a couple days, but everything's still dead. I'm thinking about planting more flowers and planting a garden this year. I tried last year, and I purchased those stand-up gardens, like the ones above the ground, because we have chickens and I let them run in the backyard. So I didn't want them eating the vegetables. I gave each of the girls one of these stand-up planters. They turn them into fairy gardens, which I'm fine with also. I was thinking that we would grow vegetables or strawberries or something, and now the fairies live in them. So there's like houses and bridges, and we got some like lanterns that actually are solar powered. So at nighttime, the little lanterns turn on. We did that last year. I've been talking to the girls about deciding whether they want to continue with that this year or if they want to plant some seeds or both, which either way I'm totally fine with. I don't mind if we don't grow our own vegetables. We used to do that all of the time, but it's one less thing that I have to worry about looking after, which I also really like. So I think this year will probably be, I might have a little planter with some flowers in it. Other than that, I think I'll just not have vegetables. I don't know, I'm going back and forth obviously on it, and yeah, I'll let you know what I decide on that. I've been watching Full House with the girls. We are on the final season of the old Full House. It's really interesting, the topics that show hit on and how they dealt with things. And it really, like, we watched Fuller House first, and then we watched Full House, and I could see why Fuller House was canceled compared to Full House, because Fuller House was really just like a celebration of them coming back, but Full House actually focuses more on the kids and the kids being present and just being kids in a space. They don't just randomly disappear for 5 episodes. So we've been watching that. We're almost done. Also, we've been watching, what have we been watching? The girls have been watching Once Upon a Time. We were watching that as a family, and we're going to go back to watching that as a family. One of the girls was having a hard time with watching it before bed. She was finding that she was having some nightmares, or bad dreams. So we are going to be going back to watching that. She's okay with it now. I've been watching Outlander as well. I really enjoy Outlander. I started from the beginning and I'm going through it again. I'm on the 2nd season for watching, and I'm on the 3rd book for reading, and there's some overlap because of how they tell the story in the movie and how they tell the story in the books. So there's some overlap, but the movie is very close to the books. So if you've read all the books and you're interested in something that's close to what was actually created by the author, Outlander definitely is. So far, I've watched the whole thing, and now I'm going back and rewatching because they're still coming out with new seasons. So by the time I'm done watching it again, the next season should be out, and that it'll be right where I am at, hopefully. I'm hopefully planning for that. I do enjoy it a lot, though. Diana Gabaldon is a really great storyteller, and to be honest, it took me a long time to get into Outlander. I tried to read it 3 times before I actually got through the first book of Outlander because of the graphic content. I don't do well with violence. I don't do well with like things that are graphic, that we could just be left with the idea of what happened. I understand. That's how you tell a story. So, but once I read all of the books, I could watch Outlander the show and it not have the same effect on me as if I had just watched it by itself. it kind of prepared me. So I know when I'm watching the show, I still like look away in gross parts because I still don't need to see it. So I still look away. I'm just like super interested in my knitting at that point. But I really enjoy Outlander, and I think there's a lot of knitting in it. And in the books, there's a lot more knitting in the books, like actually in the books, than has happened in the movie. And it's interesting because in the book, Jamie teaches Claire how to knit. So I'd like to see that in the actual movie. I'd like them to put that in because that's kind of its tradition, and it's a connection, and it's him sharing something from his childhood that everybody learned how to do. So, and it wasn't just women's work. It was everybody knew how to do it, which I really like. And back then also sailors knit all of the time as well. So there's some opportunities that the movie could take regarding knitting that I would really like to see. I can hear my dog barking, so I'm going to have to go and let him in. But I hope you had an amazing week and you have an amazing weekend and get all of your knitting goals completed. And if you don't have any knitting goals and you don't like knitting goals, I hope your random knitting adventures go in the direction that you hope they do. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate every single one of you. And I hope that you have an amazing day, week, and have a beautiful day. Until next time.